What if the secret to being unforgettable isn't about how you look, but how you make others feel? Imagine walking into a room, not with a loud entrance, but with a quiet presence so strong that people's attention is drawn to you without a single word. True attraction doesn't stem from youth or dazzling charm. Instead, it's a deeper, richer energy, a magnetic force that pulls people in, much like a cozy fire on a cold winter's evening. The truth is, real allure has never been about what's in the mirror. It's about how you carry yourself, how you think, and the warmth you leave behind. Some people have this gift. They don't need to beg for attention, yet it finds them. They don't try to impress, but they are impossible to overlook. And the best part, this allure isn't tied to age. You can ignite it at 60, 70, or beyond. Today, we're diving into 6 ways to become silently attractive and irresistibly compelling between the ages of 60 and 80. These are the qualities that draw people to you, make them respect you, and leave them craving your company. All without you having to say a word. Stay with me to the end, because the last one is a hidden treasure that most people miss, yet it's the secret to standing out effortlessly. If you've ever wanted to feel more confident, valued, and magnetic, this is for you. Let's start this journey together, like old friends sharing stories over a warm cup, uncovering what makes someone truly unforgettable. First, the magnetic allure of a well-lived life. You've heard it before, the most captivating people are often those who have lived a life rich in experiences. Their stories are woven with wisdom, heartache, triumphs, and the everyday moments that shape who they are. These individuals exude a quiet charm, not because they try, but because their life's journey speaks for itself. Take Helen, for example. At 81 years old, this artist's hands are still flecked with paint, a reminder of the murals she's painted in Paris, and the studio she lost to water damage. Helen's not the one bragging at the gallery, but when you sit down with her, you'll hear stories of her youth, of dancing barefoot in a storm, of adventures and challenges. There's no bitterness in her voice, only a deep gratitude for the experiences that life has gifted her. People are drawn to Helen not because she's trying to impress, but because her life has a depth that resonates. Every stroke of her brush, every word she shares, speaks of a life well lived, and that is magnetic. She isn't concerned with keeping up with trends or appearances. She's too busy living in the moment, creating and being thankful for today. When you live a life full of experiences, your presence alone becomes magnetic. You don't need to advertise your life. It's there, woven into the fabric of who you are, and it draws people in without you having to say a word. Second, gentle kindness, the power of small acts. What if one simple, quiet act could leave an everlasting imprint on someone's heart? It's true. Gentle kindness has a quiet power that we often underestimate. In a world filled with noise, chaos, and distractions, small acts of kindness shine brighter than ever. Take Clara, a 70-year-old gardener with dirt-streaked nails and a heart full of warmth. Clara's not the type to seek attention, yet she's known in her community for her kindness. At the local market, when a frazzled mom is juggling a crying child and a grocery cart, Clara slips her an apple, winking at the child to make them smile. Or when a neighbor falls ill, Clara leaves soup on their doorstep. No note, no fanfare, just care. Her actions aren't grand, but they are felt deeply. In her 40s, Clara was rushing through life, barely pausing to enjoy the small moments. But after helping care for her sister during a long illness, she learned that kindness isn't just an act, it's a way of being. Now, her kindness flows naturally, and she gives with no expectation of anything in return. What makes Clara unforgettable isn't the size of her gestures, it's the way she sees people. She truly sees them, their struggles, their joys, and their humanity. Gentle kindness doesn't yell or demand recognition, but it leaves a mark that lingers long after. If you want to cultivate this quality in your life, start small. a kind word to a stranger, a helping hand without expecting anything in return, or just a smile can go a long way. It's the little things that make the biggest difference, and this quiet kindness draws people to you like a magnet. Third, say less, mean more, the magnetic power of restraint in a world where everyone seems to be shouting for attention. The people who truly stand out often say the least. They don't need to fill every silence with chatter or rush to speak their minds. Instead, they know the value of listening, of pausing, and of letting their words carry weight when they do speak. Take Evelyn, a 77-year-old former history teacher who's learned this art of restraint over decades of teaching rowdy students. Evelyn isn't the type to dominate a conversation. At a family reunion, while others are laughing and telling stories, Evelyn listens, really listens. She leans in as her niece vents about work, offering just a small, well-timed smile before saying, "Sounds like you're tougher than you think." Her words land with impact, not because they are loud or numerous, but because they are deliberate and rare. People listen to Evelyn not because she's the loudest in the room, but because when she speaks, it's as if time slows down and her words hold a deeper truth. In her 30s, Evelyn would have jumped into a conversation, eager to share her thoughts. But over the years, she learned that listening is just as important as speaking. And it's this ability to hold space for others, to let them speak without interruption, that makes her presence so magnetic. Restraint isn't about being aloof. It's about being mindful of when to speak and when to listen. It's a quiet strength that leaves others wanting more as they feel truly heard and understood. Fourth, presence, the quiet charm of being fully there in a world full of distractions. One of the rarest gifts you can offer someone is your undivided attention. When someone is fully present, they make the person there with feel like they are the only one who matters in that moment. And after 60, this ability only grows stronger. Meet Margaret, a 68-year-old writer with ink-stained hands and a mind full of stories. At her book club, while others fidget with their phones or glance nervously at the clock, Margaret is fully immersed in the conversation. When you speak, her hazel eyes lock onto yours. Her head tilts slightly as she listens intently. She doesn't interrupt or rush to share her own thoughts. She is completely present, feeling every word you say. Margaret's presence isn't something she forces. It's simply who she is. In her 40s, she was often preoccupied with her next project, her mind buzzing while others spoke. But when she sat by her mother's bedside during her final days, she realized the power of truly being present. Since then, she's made it a point to give her full attention to the people around her. The beauty of being fully present is that it's contagious. When you offer someone your full presence, they feel valued, understood, and heard. There's something magnetic about being fully engaged in the moment. People feel safe with you, as though you are truly paying attention to their words, their feelings, and their needs. Presence is a quiet charm that doesn't shout for attention. It's a calm, powerful force that makes others feel seen and appreciated. Fifth, emotional composure, the strength of inner calm. Have you ever been around someone who remains calm and collected, no matter what life throws their way? That's the power of emotional composure. It's the ability to stay grounded and steady, even in the midst of chaos, and this quiet strength is incredibly magnetic to others. Take Walter, a 76-year-old retired firefighter with a raspy chuckle and a strong, steady presence. He's been through many storms, both literal and figurative. He's faced life-threatening situations, the loss of loved ones, and the struggles of those he cares about. Yet, in the face of adversity, Walter remains calm. At a diner one day, when a rude customer snaps at a waitress, Walter doesn't flare up. Instead, he calmly sips his coffee and looks the waitress in the eye, offering a quiet, "Tough shift, huh?" The tension melts away, and the room settles into a more peaceful atmosphere. Walter wasn't always this composed. In his 50s, he would get frustrated over small things, traffic, delays, and other minor inconveniences. But after a heart scare, he realized that anger only made things worse. Now, he takes a deep breath, counts to 3, and lets the storm pass. Emotional composure isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about understanding them and choosing how to respond. When you are able to remain calm under pressure, people are drawn to your strength. Your steadiness becomes a refuge in times of chaos. 6th, self-respect, the quiet strength of knowing your worth. Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to command respect without raising their voice or pushing for it? That's the power of self-respect. It's a quiet, unshakable confidence that says, I know my worth, and I won't settle for less. After 60, this quality becomes even more pronounced, as you've had the time to reflect on your experiences, learn your boundaries, and protect your space. James, a 72-year-old architect with wild gray curls, is a perfect example of someone who embodies self-respect. In his younger years, James was a classic people pleaser. He would work late into the night to finish projects for friends who never reciprocated. He'd say yes to every request, even when he was exhausted. But one day, after a particularly draining encounter with a client, James reached his breaking point. With trembling hands, he hung up the phone and said to himself, enough. Now, James is known for protecting his time and energy. When a friend asks for help, he'll say, I'd love to help, but I'm tied up. There's no guilt in his voice, no hesitation. People respect this boundary because it's delivered with kindness, but firmness. James' ability to say no when it's necessary doesn't make him less kind or generous. It simply means he respects himself enough to guard his time and energy. People can sense this self-respect, and they are drawn to it. Self-respect isn't about being standoffish or prideful. It's about knowing when to stand your ground, when to say no, and when to protect your own well-being. When you honor yourself, others will honor you too. And finally, after all these qualities, living a full life, practicing kindness, speaking with purpose, being fully present, staying calm in the face of adversity, and respecting yourself. The last key to being unforgettable is the quiet confidence that comes from within. This is the confidence that doesn't need to prove itself. It simply is. It's the inner peace that radiates outward, drawing people to you without you having to do anything at all. Take Richard, a 74-year-old former hardware store owner, who is the epitome of quiet confidence. Richard doesn't seek attention. He doesn't dress in flashy clothes or make grand entrances. Instead, he walks into a room with a calm assurance, and immediately, people notice. It's not because he's trying to stand out, but because his quiet presence speaks volumes. Richard wasn't always this way. In his younger years, he was always proving himself, working long hours, shaking hands, striving to be seen. But after the loss of his wife and a devastating fire that destroyed his shop, Richard learned to let go of the need to impress. Now, he simply walks through life with the peace of knowing who he is. Quiet confidence is the result of all the other qualities combined. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. It just is. And that's why it's so magnetic. People are drawn to it because it's genuine, calm, and unshakable. So, here we are, friends, at the end of this journey. These 7 traits: living a life full of experiences, being kind without expectation, saying less but meaning more, being fully present, maintaining emotional composure, valuing yourself with self-respect, and finally, embodying quiet confidence, are the qualities that make you magnetic and unforgettable. And none of them have anything to do with youth, beauty, or loudness. They have everything to do with you, how you move through the world, how you think, how you touch lives. The most magnetic people don't chase after attention. They glow effortlessly because they've learned the art of being themselves. It's a quiet draw that others can't resist, and it's something that only grows stronger with age. You've got this. Let your light shine. Embrace these qualities, nurture them, and watch as the world around you gravitates toward the warmth of your presence. Tell me, which of these traits hit home for you? Which one do you feel most drawn to? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. And if this video stirred something in you, share it with those you care about. Let's keep lighting the way for one another, no matter our age. Thank you for being here. Let's continue walking this path together.